Welcome, everybody. As Andy said, I am Mike Soden. I'm actually the DCO for District 5300, and I was just nominated to the governor line. So my official title is DGND, which is District Governor Nominee. Excuse me, District Governor Nominee Designate. Forgot about the D in there. So Lynn, if you're ready to go.
We're ready.
Okay, why don't we start with the area? And the reason I want to start with the area side of it is that this is actually runs both for not only the PEs, but also for the AGs. So when Lynn clicks on this area and it populates, this will give you a really good structure. Now we're at our Hollywood Club. And basically, obviously, a lot of these people are not Rotarians, but we like to play around with it. And people seem to like when we put these things in. So as Lynn scrolls down, you see it's all broken up into area. So you have your AG. In this case, they've decided to end on the membership chair, the major gifts chair. And as you scroll down a little bit further, you're seeing all the clubs that are assigned to that particular AG. And the advantage of that is by having that AG assigned to that area, that AG now has become what we call a level 4 within within that club. So, you know, in this case, if I'm trying to look for Rex Harris that happens to have a problem, the AG can come in and help them at that level. So it's really important that the AGs know that they have that capability to be able to go and look at that stuff. But as you can see, if I want to know who was in a particular club, in this case, we have president, secretary, and treasurer. And then if you go up to the top and click on display, we have the ability to add on a whole bunch of other people that if you wanted to add those in there. So basically that's the area. And I know we only have about 30 minutes here, so we're going to continue to move on. Lynn, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, and since the AGs will help assist the clubs and club presidents and club secretaries, you really need to know about the club member tab. So presidents, you're going to spend a lot of time under here, My Club. I'm going to click on the club members icon. And I am impersonating the club president, Nicholas Cage. So each individual, when you click this little pencil in front of their name, they have a section with all of their pertinent information. The first page is their member information. It'll have their start date. Of course, this is a fictitious club. This does not roll up to RI, so we don't have any RI numbers or anything like that in here. But your club will have RI numbers and things like that. So the photo, you can upload great headshots of folks and make sure that they have pictures. Contact information is very important. You have to make sure that they have an address here when you first add them to DACdb. Otherwise, they will not roll up to RI. If they are married, they can complete this. This helps when you are registering for an event and you can have a spouse or guest attend. It will automatically know who your spouse is if this is filled in. It will automatically update your name badge. Business is self-explanatory, where they work. Personal data, this is what the district customizes. And if you see this little add, this little red cross, anywhere you see that on a screen, it means an add or delete. And your district will have certain items in here. So if you were a Bequest Society or a GSE team leader, whatever it might be, you can save that to the profile. And there are reports that will pull this information for your district and for your club. This is your club information. Obviously, you can, the secretary will handle this page. You can put your previous years in other clubs, and also you can list them down here with your start date and end dates of any clubs you belong to, so you have that in your history. The login page, this is very important because this is where your username resides and your password. No one can see your password, not even members of DACdb. So anytime somebody goes in here to edit it, if you want to edit your password, you'll see these asterisks. You just put in a new password, update, and it is case sensitive. So make sure you remember what you put in. You can also complete your bio notes, your bio, degree, etc. This is also available on a report that you can pull later. We also have this community involvement section. and you can just add any other organizations you're involved with. And then if your districts are involved in RLI and they are using the RLI registration module, whenever you take an RLI class, it will appear here. And then the log is just for updates to your record that the secretary could always go in to see. Your friend, this is how you're going to communicate with the members of your club. When you click on the P-mail, we've conveniently added this button here to P-mail all the active members in your club. When you click that on, it automatically populates in the To section. And you don't have to worry when you send this P-mail out that all of the emails will be showing here. This really goes out blind carbon copy. So all you have to do is put your subject in. You can type your information here underneath the dear. This will insert the first name of the individual, their preferred first name. So if they put if their name is James and they have Jim in their badge name, it'll say Dear Jim. This is the toolbar. So you can actually bold, italicize, underscore. If you do have an event in your club that you want to invite people to and you've set it up as a registration, here's a little button that you can click to actually add the link to the registration. And then if you really want to, since you're going to be president, you can actually create a template that you can use. And I'm going to just show you how to do that quickly. So I'm just going to start fresh here. And I am going to click Select Template. And I am going to go to the System Template. And this very first template is a generic template. And I'm going to use that because it has a little bit of color. It has the rotary wheel there. And it also will automatically insert your information down here. So we have this here, type your message here. Just as a reminder, this is where you put your message. But when you do send your message, make sure you delete that. We see that a lot, that people just type after it and that's still in there. So make sure you take that out. So this is going to be the template I create. I'm going to take that out and I'm going to save it. So the first little icon here is your save button. I'm going to click on the save. I'm going to select personal and I am going to change this to default. And I'm going to say replace existing and save. A little message will come up that tells you saved it in your personal folder. Now, if I were to come into P-mail and click compose, there's my template. It's right there. I don't have to worry about adding this each time. If you wanted to put this year's Rotary theme in here, you could add that. Once you do send a P-mail, you will have this tracking section here. Now, if I click this on, we're not going to have anything because a fictitious club, they don't really have emails. But you will be able to see when you sent the message, who read it, if anybody opted out, if anybody bounced, who clicked, if you had links in there, who clicked on the links. So it's a nice handy tool, but don't get too critical if somebody did not read it, because if they read it on their phone, you can see a message without actually clicking it on. That won't get sent back to us to tell us that it was read. So kind of be gentle to your folks. You can actually resend these messages and you can resend them to all if you need to. And that is under the tracking section. The other tool that you're probably going to use or your public image chair is going to use is the bulletin. And this is dependent on club stories. So you'll create a story, and I'm not going to go through that because for one thing, during this COVID period, we have been doing training, live training every Tuesday. And we have a whole series of training that have covered each of these items we're going over. So we'll show you where to go at the end here so you can actually watch the short videos on these. But we're going to go right to the bulletin. I'm going to pretend we've created our stories. And you're going to click on this new bulletin. And if you want to create a new template, you would simply click this new template button. But I've already created one, so I'm just going to edit it real quick. And this is the president's message that I've created. I put it like a generic heading in here. I'm going to have a sidebar on this side. It's going to show my club leaders. It's going to show birthdays, years of service. And then in the story section, it's going to be my agenda each week. And then also I'm going to have a little note on my speaker. So I'm going to go back here, go to the bulletin and new bulletin. And I am going to click this and click advanced build. So here's my president's message for the week. That's going to be my agenda. And my speaker this week is on the COVID-19. So I'm going to click that on. And you scroll down, you can actually put the date range of the birthdays that you want to show. And the same thing for the years of service. I also want to show my leaders, but I want to show everybody that I have in my edit club positions, including like directors, sergeant at arms, every kind of officer I'd like to show. So now I'm ready to build my bulletin. So here's my weekly bulletin as a president that I want to send out. Here's our agenda for that week. Here is the background on the speaker. As you can see, there's my officers on the left-hand side, and we did have some birthdays, and we did have some years of service. So this is a really handy tool. Once you save this and you go back to the bulletins, there'll be a P-mail button right next to it, and then you just send that off to your members. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to show you is DACdb Mobile. So to get to DACdb Mobile on your phone, you're going to type in your search bar. This is not an app. You don't have to go to the App Store for this. So you would type m.dacdb.com. Now this is actually my club that I'm going to show. So you have the categories. So if I click on my club, I can click on members. Here are all my members with their pictures. If you wanted more information, you can click them on. Since you are recording this, I can't share that information with you, but very easy to see their information there. You can look at your committees. So we have some different committees in my club. You can actually look at birthdays, spouses' birthdays. If you need to P-mail everybody, you can click the P-mail and P-mail them. Here's our leadership. And then if I go back one more, you can look at your area. So here's our AGs. So you'll be able to look at all your AGs, click on their information if you need it. Your personal data. Here's your district. You can look at your district leadership. So this is a handy tool to have on your phone. And Mike, okay. I'm going to turn this over to you.
Thank you, Lynn. I know we're rushing through this and heads are spinning right at this particular moment, but you know, we could talk all day about DACdb, but in this case, we're going to try to keep it short. So another big area as a president, and having been one twice, I kind of can appreciate you positions you all are in today. But go ahead, Lynn, if you could click on the calendar. So DACdb offers a full, very, very robust calendar system. And there's really two pieces of this puzzle. The first one, when you look at that are red, those are what we call registrations. But below that, you'll see one where it says Hollywood Weekly Meeting. Lynn, if you could click on that, you're going to simply click Manage Event. And in here, you can see where you have the ability to schedule, and then the RSVP we'll get into in a second, and the location. But as you scroll down, you can go ahead and put in a bunch of information about your speakers, that sort of thing. But more importantly, if many of you probably have the Easy and Beautiful website or might be using the WordPress, is you have the ability to break out into the speaker areas. So if you look in there where it says Gary Pope, District Governor, and then right below that is goals for 2021, that it will actually break out into its own page. And so there are a lot of times you like to, especially in the Easy and Beautiful side, you might put a widget up there, and that's where this particular information pulls. You also have the ability right below that to put in any planning notes. This is probably more for registration, but who knows? So having said all that, you know, we're in this virtual world. My club happens to be, God, I can't even think here, we have both the online people, and we also have the hybrid. I'm sorry, I was forgetting what that meant. Anyways, a hybrid. So if you click on the RSVP for me, we've added this to every event. And so what you have the ability to do now, and this is turned off, if Lynn hits yes, she'll go ahead and hit update. Now, all of a sudden, I've got this tracking mechanism. And in my case, we will have probably of my 50 members, we might have 10 online, maybe 15 online, and the balance of them will be at the regular meeting. Well, the challenge we have there is that we have to tell the venue how many people are actually going to be attending. So literally every week we send out an email or a PMAil and ask the members. So in this case, Lynn, if you want to go ahead and do the test RSVP, it's a very simplistic. You're not creating a registration or anything of that nature. You can see, yes, I'm going to attend. No, I'm not. Or maybe I'm going to attend. But more importantly, I have the option. Am I going to be on a Zoom online, or am I actually going to be in person? I can also put in some sort of, you know, comments, that kind of stuff. If she goes ahead and hit submit, and then we're going to go ahead and close that out and do a little refresh. And if all goes according to Hoyle, there you go. Nicolas Cage is now going to attend our meeting, but he's going to be online. So it gives you a really good, quick idea of exactly who's attending and what's not attending. And then the other piece is the location. And so you can go ahead and click on the location side of it. It's obviously GPSable. In my case, as I said before, we are a hybrid. So most of my members tomorrow morning will be literally in front of me, which is really nice from that standpoint. So that basically is the first key of the calendar side of it. The second key is we're going to talk about registrations. And so, Lynn, and go ahead and click on it. So now let's kind of take a look at it. I don't know, you probably didn't notice. You bet it probably maybe 5 tabs. So Lynn, go ahead and click on the Manage Event. Now all of a sudden, I've got several of them. This is a hugely robust system. So for those of you who have been to Your Pets, this is a system that gets used. There are several pets throughout the country. I run my RILA program on it, and we average about 300 to 400 kids. We do it twice a year. And it allows me to do many different things by putting my students on a bus, in a dorm, you know, in their groups. I can then print badges off of them. So there's all different kinds of things that you can do with this. So if we go over to, let's look at the options, Lynn. And now we have all the different settings that you want to do. We have some members or some clubs that, like in my case, we sell flags. We can go ahead and, you know, just say we only want just the registration to show up. I also, where it says happy day, I could make that being purchased now or whatever I want to make it. So there's a lot of customization that you can put into this. A lot of people asking about, well, how do I pay online? Well, if you look up there, there's a payment gateway. And because we don't exclude any vendors, we have 6 gateways that we have set up. There's IP Pay, authorized.net. There's the Secure Pay, Jet Pay, all kinds of different options that you have to allow you to go ahead and process. So if you've got like a gala, something of that nature, where you figure out what you're going to ask the people, Lynn, if you could click on the questions. This is where you set up your questions. So in this case, you've got put in whatever you want, click on the little edit pencil. And here you have multiple different types of questions you can ask, like single select, multiple select, radio buttons, check boxes, that sort of thing on the right side. So there's multiple different things you can do. The other thing I really like about this particular system is I have the ability to create what's called conditional questioning. And where that helps me is if I happen to have, like for my RILA, I might have 10 different positions. In those positions, they may need different questions. So I can set it up. So I want this question to be answered by this group of people. I want another question asked by this group of people. Example of that is obviously if I'm a facilitator, I don't really need to know the age of who I am. So I may not have that question appear when I may need a student to do that. So again, this is also where you would be putting in your, Len, if you could scroll down just a little bit here. Okay, we don't have that one set up. Could you go back up and click on the quantity, cost, and total? And so now this is where you would put in your default quantity and then also your cost. And so that's why when somebody goes to register, this is where they would come up with their numbering system. As we scroll down further, you have the ability to do what's called early bird specials. So you can set up one question that will start from one time and go to the next. And then you have the second one that would again start right after that one finished and finish it out. You can put on the bottom of your back room to show what values want to show in it. So Len, we can go ahead and go out of the cancel area or save if you want. Okay, again, as we go away, you have the moderators you can look at. And in your moderator section, this is where you'd put the people that have total control over that particular event. We also do payments. We talked a little bit about the gateway. This is where you would set that up. And then you also have what's called notifications. And the notifications allow you to send out reminders to people, either if they haven't paid, if you happen to have it. Most registrations are set up for both check and credit card. So you have a situation where they either haven't gotten a check yet, or you haven't gotten a check yet, or you haven't gotten paid by credit card. You can set it up to where the system checks on a daily basis, whether you've paid or not, and you can send out automatic reminders. And included in that will be a link to have them go to the gateway and make that payment. Security is pretty much set up for default by the clubs. It's set up for level 3. You can make it higher if you wanted to. That sort of thing. And obviously you always want to make your view level being 0 because that allows you to show it as well on your website. If you look at to the left side, you have things called the back room. This is where when everybody, Len, if you go ahead and click on that for me, this is where you would go ahead and see everything and all your questions are answered. So you might have like a multiple day event or something along that line that you can show who's eating what meal, that sort of thing. So it tracks just everything possible you can think about. If we scroll down a little bit more, Lynn, you can take a look at the rooms. Like in the case of like I have my institute going on over in on the West Coast, and we have everybody broken into rooms. So I know who's attending what event. And Lynn, let's go ahead and go back out. I want to go to the My Event. And then we have the My Event option, which allows you to basically create a event app, although again, it's a mobile, and you can have people know exactly where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be, that sort of thing. And then one more area we want to go back into, where are we at now? Okay, one big thing we want to talk about is speakers. For several years, DACdb has had this module that you can put in speakers. The problem is most people don't do it. And so by doing this is when you put a speaker in and you put their title, their description in there, it's going to automatically appear like what we're seeing here. So you may be a club somewhere in the district and you want to have that particular speaker. Here's your option to go call that club and say, how did you get a hold of this particular person? And again, this automatically appears right into the speaker area. Let's see. Did I miss anything, Lynn? I know we're going really fast here.
I think that's it.
Okay.
On calendar.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to one last.
Michael, before you leave calendar.
Okay.
How do you put a Zoom link on a calendar?
Okay. Well, basically, so let's go back up, and here would be my recommendation. Now, here's the problem, is that we all know that Zoom has gotten a reputation that they get hacked a lot. So you don't necessarily want to show that event. So what you do is when you do the registration, you go ahead and go to options and you scroll down, you have a thing where you get the confirmation. So when it goes out to that user, that's where they would get their information on the Zoom meeting. Does that answer your question, Andy?
Yeah, I think so. So have them register the event, and then the Zoom link will be sent to them, basically.
That's right.
That's correct. Now, as I said, you could send it out via Pmail, but once again, I wouldn't recommend putting it on your website because that just tells everybody in the world what you got going on. So my recommendation, like in my case, and part of the notification process would also be, and we're actually adding notification to the regular calendar event so that you could send out a notification reminder the day before a meeting, and you could put it in there. So you'd be able to have that option. I'm not quite certain. I know we had it planned, Lynn. I don't know exactly when that's going to be coming out, but it will be coming out here shortly.
Right. And you could also put it in your notifications here for the start of the event. So when you click this on, you can put your Zoom link down here, and then this will go out 7 days before the event or 3 days before the event. So the minus, you put the minus figure in, the minus sign in front of it because you want it to happen right before the event rather than after the event. So several ways you can do it.
Yeah, another question is, can your events be sent to people that are not in DACdb? So someone that's an email that's outside of our database.
Yes, you can. Now that can happen a couple different ways. In my club, in my district, we use a thing called Friends of Rotary. And what I mean by that is we actually have a member type within the system. Do we have a Friends of Rotary, Lynn?
We might have some others here. Okay. So I'm going to try to get to that while you're talking.
Okay. So what we're saying here is that, and I had it the year before I was president, my previous president had people fill out forms. And what we would do is we would put them into what we call Friends of Rotary. In this case, we have other members. And so you have the ability. So Lynn, if you could go ahead, go up and hit Pmail for me. And so now what I get the option here is I can literally click on what member type I want to send them to. So in this case, you see you already have the Friends of Rotary. And so that's how we stay in touch with our our non-members, so to speak. When it comes to registrations, we have public registration that's also available. So if you want to find out if they're, going to want to register or something of that nature, you have that ability within, to be able to go out to the public themselves. Okay. Our last little piece here, and to be quite honest, it's not a new extension, but it is one that's not used. And personally, I love it so much that during my year as governor, I'm going to be using it, believe it or not, for a medical option. And what I'm talking about is called our disaster relief. So Lynn, if you could go to the disaster relief area. And what this allows you to do, and Andy's very familiar with it along with several other people, what this allows you to do from a district standpoint is to be able to track the people that are involved that can help you during your disaster time. So in this case, if you go down to setup, and this is where you would put the people in here, like I've already put in Pierce Brosnan, but I could put in all the people that are going to be managing this particular extension. And so just type in Jolie. Okay, so we'll just go ahead to Angelina. So now you can see that she's there. And then we move up into what's called the classes area. And in the classes area, this is where you can actually set instructions, very similar to the RLI program. So you would just go ahead like I kind of did. I played a little game here and added one, and you just simply go ahead and do an add to it, and you could put in intermediate or advanced or something of that nature. Okay, and then you're going to want to set up your inventory category. And so in this case, I just set up wheelchairs because my goal during my year as governor is I want to be able to set up a repository for those that have PPS, and for those who on this call that don't, when I say PPS, that's post-polio syndrome. It's great that we've got this big edict to shut the spigot off. The challenge is there's a lot of aftermath of when polio does hit, whether that be in this country or whether that be, throughout the world. And so it's really nice to be able to have, I think it's nice to have a repository of, as people have needs, that we are able to supply them with wheelchairs, walkers, whatever that may be. So I'm still formulating that concept, but this would be a great module for me to go ahead and try to put that together. So again, as I said, Lynn was on the inventory category. And then as you move up to the ICS training, this is where you would, again, people that have taken courses, they would appear in here and you say, and then just sort by advanced or beginners or something of that nature. Then we go up to the skill area. And I'd love to show you your district here, because you guys have done a really good job at populating it to where your categories are broken out: doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, whatever. Are there. And so you can break it apart. When you need a doctor, you can literally go in here and find out what doctors have agreed to be part of this program. And then obviously, if you go up one more, Lynn, you have the inventory. And in the inventory process, this is where you'd see, I was talking about wheelchairs. I was talking about other things. This is where all of this information would be put. And then, of course, on the top, you have the inventory, what we call the dashboard, to be there. So again, I think it's a really valuable, very underused option that was built primarily because of your district and a couple other ones that saw the need. And obviously where you guys all live, you have the hurricanes and that sort of thing. And much as I hate to say it, me living right next to California, I keep hearing about evacuations, especially in Southern California over the last couple of weeks. And it would be nice to have this kind of a program set up. So the only last piece that we have on here, Lynn, if you could go to, and you alluded to it earlier, the support area. I know we have shoved an awful lot of stuff at you, and I'm sure there's a lot of deer in the headlights. But the key thing you need to remember is we have a phenomenal support system. Yes, Lynn is the goddess of DACdb, but there's a lot of other people that are there to support. So if you guys ever have any questions, you simply click on, you could do submit a support ticket. Lynn, if you could scroll down a little bit further. And you can go in and actually make a phone call. Yes, for the most part, we are a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of shop. But I'll be quite honest, if you send us an email or even probably make a phone call, don't be shocked if somebody picks up on a Sunday night or, and we all joke about the owner being there until 11 o'clock his time, which is mountain time. So if you guys have questions, I think we do a pretty darn good job at making the answers. But more importantly, where I'm going with trying to show you support is when COVID hit, we took the stance that, district assemblies were canceled, district conferences were canceled, obviously RI convention was canceled. We wanted to make sure that we stayed in touch with you. So over the last literally 6 or 7 months now, we have been holding trainings on a wiki basis. And hopefully many of you know about it, because I'm sending out about 18,000 emails every week to let you know about our training. So where Lynn's going with this is she's going to click on that DACdb training. And if you click on COVID, and we record everything we do. And just like a TED Talk, it's a 20-minute TED Talk with about 10 minutes of questions. And then we record that, do a little editing, obviously, and then we go ahead and put them up here. So if you ever have any need to know about certain things, this is one of the areas that you can go and not spend a whole lot of time. The other thing we also did is we held 2 secretary trainings. And so if you could go back to support, Lynn, go to that same little DACdb training and go down to the bottom, click on secretary. So now you're seeing truly what a secretary needs to have, but also you as PE needs to know. And it's amazing to me how often when I'm at Pat's and we do some breakout trainings, it's like I have a PE walk in me and say, what's DACdb? Well, this is a really good area that you can go quickly, again, spending 20 minutes on each one of them to learn how to log in or, get your passwords, since we no longer track passwords. Edit your club positions, which is really important. As you become the president, you need to know, and RI needs to know who your officers are. Add or terminate a member. Hopefully it's always adding, but every now and then we have to terminate members. Committees, engagement and attendance. One area that I always spend a lot of time on that we didn't talk about tonight is the RI Compare. And what that is your connection to Rotary International, so that when you add a member in DACdb, you can actually side by side look and make sure that they're actually an RI, conversely the other way. Creating events, we talked a little bit about P-mail. So we have a lot of support issues. And Len, if you go back to support for a second. And so because of all this we've done, when it created all these new videos and that sort of thing, we're going to be redesigning this area. I've already done the design. I'm waiting for the programmers to finish off the programming. And so it's going to come more like a Netflix or a Prime, where we're going to, all of our videos are going to be front and forward, but they're going to be broken up by classification. What I mean by that is there'll be a section for secretaries. There'll be a section for AGs. There'll be a section for district leadership. Also included in that, on the left side, you see those folders. That's all written documentation. If you love to read, have at it. It's all, I'm more of a visual person, so I much like my videos as opposed to this way. But all of those are going to be actually put in with those videos. So when you go to RI Compare, not only will you have the video side of it, but you also have the written documentation. But other than that, I know we threw an awful lot of stuff at you. Hopefully you're not, too confused, and we're open for questions if we have time for them.
Yeah, here's a question that came up, Michael and Lynn. On your bulletins, are you able to print those bulletins after you put them together here?
Yes, you are. And they're going to be stored when you finish creating it. It'll save it as a PDF under this club bulletin folder automatically. You don't have to do anything to save it there. And so when you click it on, and I really don't know what we're going to find in this section, but I'll click one of these on. And then here is our little PDF bulletin. So yes, you can print them.
The other thing also, Andy, just so everybody knows, that when you create a bulletin, if you have the easy and beautiful website, or you have a WordPress site, automatically they will, when it populates into this particular area, will automatically appear on the website if you have the widget set up for it.
So why can we only schedule a P-mail once a week?
Well,
1 week out, 1 week out.
Because people change their mind. So right now, the way it's set up, if you put something out for a future delivery, you can't go in there and change it. So we've only limited to 7 days. We are revamping the P-mail system.
Yes.
So you're going to see a new look. And maybe at that time, we will change that time period, because we are going to let you edit things that are in pending.
Great. Any questions? Any other questions? I've been trying to keep up in chat. Congratulations, Michael. I did not know you're in the line now.
Well, thank you. I don't talk about it too much. I'm still trying to get my head around the whole thing, but thank you very much.
But I can tell you that DACdb doesn't do this for the money, right? I mean,
that I can guarantee you. I've been doing this for about 18 years now, or almost from the inception of it. And Lynn's pretty much been along the same line. And for the first probably 15 years of those, I never saw a dime from DACdb, because I just think it's a phenomenal program. And as you all know, you guys have questions. You want new things added to it. I think if anything, DACdb takes the hit of being almost too complicated, because we have so many options. And so we've tried through what we're doing with the icons to make it, to simplify it. But, if you guys ever have any questions, we're available.
Yeah, I appreciate everything that you and Lynn do, and Mark and the rest of the DACdb team. It makes a difference for us. I don't see how we could run our organization without it. And you do a phenomenal job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.